Set. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Councillor Kate Revilius. I'm Executive Member for Transport at City of York Council, and this is my decision session on Tuesday, 10th of February. There are no apologies for absence and no declarations of interest, and I'm going to sign the minutes from the last meeting. Thank you. And we have one public participant to speak, Councillor Anna Baxter, who I believe is online. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Lovely. You've got 3 minutes. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Revilius. I'm really pleased to speak on the item today because it matters directly to residents in Hull Road Ward, particularly those living in Badger Hill who deal with the parking pressures day in, day out. For many residents, the Res Park scheme isn't an abstract policy, but it's something that they feel every single day. And it's about having certainty in the area where parking demand is constantly high because of proximity to the university. When it was up for renewal, that we had lots of residents contact us about whether they'd end up having to pay for it. And we, Councillor Maroney and Councillor Pavlovic also had a high number of correspondence, and I'm really pleased that we've been able to deliver for residents. This means for residents a real financial difference, and that they don't have to bear the burden of the scheme and all the parking issues that come with living by the university. I'd also like to thank Councillor Revilius for her work in helping bring this positive conclusion, and officers who work tirelessly behind the scenes to get this scheme up and running and to continue it. I also want to thank Councillor Maroney and Councillor Pavlovic too, who have worked tirelessly on this. And I know Councillor Pavlovic has been working on it a long time, but it just shows the difference that it makes and how much it means to our residents. I also want to thank the university for listening to the community, the councillors, the exec member for transport, and everyone else who made their views clear from the start when the scheme was introduced, and continue to, because they understand that this has a huge impact on parking pressures in the neighbouring residential streets. And while this is just one small paragraph in the report, the paragraph provides reassurance for residents across our ward and gives them stability for the next 5 years. And therefore it means a huge deal to our residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming along for speaking. And yes, we do indeed are grateful to the university for extending the Res Park in Badger Hill. Okay, so we just have one substantial item on the agenda today, which is item 5, review of statutory consultation for introduction of no waiting restrictions on Baysdale Avenue, Cavendish Grove and Tranby Avenue. So Darren, do you want to introduce yourself and the report?
Good morning, Darren Hobson, Highway Regulation Manager. The report is a review of the statutory consultation that was undertaken with residents of Tranby Avenue, Bayside Avenue and Cavendish Grove about the potential introduction of some no waiting restrictions around the junction at any time, and a time restriction which was 10 AM till, just get the times right to make sure, I'm sure it's 10 AM to 3. As part of a proposal following a petition that was submitted by the residents due to the impact that was occurred from residents, the attendees at the university parking on the street, which is causing an impact on the residents' ability to park on their own street. The petition that was submitted did request a 10 AM to the same time limits that we put on the consultation. We received a number of objections to the proposal, majority around the case that the university issue and they should solve it and open up their car parks. We don't have that authority of the university to make them do that, so that wasn't something we could take forward. There was also a communication from the Ward Councillor asking if we could consider a temporary restriction on the street, similar to what happens in Popperton for the Great Yorkshire Show. This would involve putting no waiting cones out at times when they felt there was a need. It's not something we can take forward because we can only put a temporary restriction in for works or for public safety. And as the issue is related to regular parking of cars, it'd be hard to justify public safety on those grounds. You'd want to look at a more permanent restriction to counteract that. And then there was some residents in favour who were happy and do see the negative impact that the university is creating to their street and would like to have more availability of parking on a longer period. The proposal was Monday to Sunday, obviously, and which because there was long-term parking, so it's not just people going to lectures, it's people that are living on campus also parking on the street and staying for weeks on end. So the residents are keen to make sure that that does not continue. I think that's everything.
Do you want to add anything, Gary?
No, just to add that this was a petition, so the response here isn't as the Highways Authority, it's us acting on behalf of the residents in consultation. Just to know that we have taken on board the comments in around the university. Whilst as a Highways Authority, we have no way in which to control those measures. We are working strategically with the university and around future plans in terms of how we actually manage traffic in and around the area and parking. However, that won't have an immediate effect, hence the recommendation in option 1.
So just clarify, it was Monday to Friday. I think I said Monday to Sunday, didn't I? Sorry.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay, thank you. And thanks for the thought that's gone into this and the work that's gone into it. I just want to start by saying this petition was lodged in 2024, 21st of March, and I understand that it was started by Councillor Waters and signed by 164 people. And I'm just going to read out the petition because it's not included in the paper, but I just want to be clear what was asked for at the time. So it says, we, the undersigned, petition the council to deal with the dangerous and inconsiderate university-related parking in Tranby Avenue and Cavendish Grove in Oswaldwick and Merton. We, the undersigned, call upon City of York Council as Highway Authority to stop the university-related parking issues compromising highway safety and residential amenity on Tranby Avenue and Cavendish Grove, Oswaldwick and Merton. We do not believe that residents should have to incur any costs in dealing with this matter and reject any suggestion of a residents' parking scheme. Instead, we request that the City of York Council brings forward as a matter of urgency single yellow line parking restrictions to disrupt the long-term dumping of university-related vehicles on this stretch of highway. To that end, single yellow parking restrictions are requested to be operational between 10 and 3, Monday to Friday, from the Tranby Avenue Hull Road junction, taking in Cavendish Grove and extending down Tranby Avenue to the junction with Baysdale Avenue and extending round both junction corners of Baysdale Avenue for a distance of 10 yards. It is requested that these restrictions are rigorously enforced by City of York Council. It's also requested that implementation is carried out in full consultation with ward members and parish councils to ensure signage is kept to a minimum. The restrictions will need to be closely monitored to check that the university-related parking problem is not displaced to other residential streets, and if it is, the further use of single yellow line parking restriction will need to be considered. And that petition, as I said, was started by Councillor Waters and signed by 164 people. Officers have drawn up a scheme that reflects the asks within that petition, and we've carried out a statutory consultation on that scheme. We've received 3 replies in support and a written letter of support that came to this meeting, which I've read, and 5 representations in objections and 2 letters that have also been published alongside this decision session, one of which, ironically, was from the councillor who started the petition. So he's now objecting to his own petition. We delayed this decision until we had confirmation about whether the Badger Hill Res Park scheme was to be renewed or not. The universities kindly agreed to continue this scheme, and so we thought it was now time to bring forward this petition proposal because the impact of parking is likely to continue on Tranby Avenue and surrounding area. So I've read all the representations and considered that carefully. Firstly, Councillor Waters' more recent call for a temporary traffic restriction order like exists in Poppleton is not suitable or available in this situation because, as Darren has explained, that kind of traffic regulation order has to be either for roadworks or to manage road safety for a specific event. The Poppleton one is for the Great Yorkshire Show, which is a specific event occurring for 1 week each year. the temporary traffic regulation order covers a longer time frame because it's advertised alongside other events such as the May Day celebrations or the Dragon Boat races. And that's to reduce the cost of the council having to apply for multiple temporary traffic regulation orders. So we bundle them together and reduce costs. Each time that temporary traffic regulation order is put into action, officers have to notify all the residents. And in this case, if it were possible to do it, we'd have to notify all the residents, and it would have to be done by City of York Council officers, not the parish council. And it would need an officer decision every time. And it would cost money. So there'd be an ongoing revenue cost to the council, disruption to the residents, just the same as having the single yellow line. So there would still be the same disruption. And it's not even clear whether having a temporary traffic regulation order like this would be legal to be enacted here, because those problems are not temporary, they are most of the year round. So as a result, it wouldn't be possible to bring forward that solution, which seems to have been put forward at the last minute. Many of the objections that have come forward are suggesting that the university should offer more parking and do more to control the parking in the area. The university isn't able to offer more parking on its campus. It has planning conditions that mean it can't extend the amount of parking on the campus. It would be breaking those planning conditions. As Gary has explained, the university and the council are working together closely and introducing more measures that reduce the need for staff and students to drive to campus. And we're continuing to work with them to deliver those, including the funding of additional bus services, extra active travel links, and improvements at the Grimston Bar Park and Ride, which will enable it to be used in different ways. So the other thing that came through from the objections is, why isn't the council using the Park and Ride as a car park? Well, we have a contract with First Bus and conditions on how that car park is used. And the purpose of the Park and Ride is to enable sustainable travel and reduce vehicles entering the city. It's not to be used as a car park for people in the local area. So our Park and Ride numbers are growing, and we've got forthcoming schemes, including Park and Ride improvements at Grimston Bar, and that will likely see greater use of the Park and Ride. So it's not a solution for us is to start offering parking at Grimston Bar Park and Ride. There's also been a few mentions of people saying they don't want Res Park, and the ward councillor has made it very clear that he doesn't see resident parking as a solution. The irony of this is that for the majority of residents in this area, they wouldn't need to buy a permit because they have off-road parking already. So Res Park actually would probably not cost many residents anything at all, other than the odd permit when they had a visitor or they had builders. And Res Park would provide the solution where there would be parking amenity for the residents all year round, and it would prevent the nuisance parking and the obstructive parking coming from outside the area. So it would take a while to implement this, and had Res Park been put forward a number of years ago, it would probably be in place now. But there is a waiting list. And so my recommendation to residents for a longer term solution would be to explore Res Park. And you don't need your ward councillor to bring it forward for you. Residents can get together themselves and put a petition together and ask the council to explore Res Park. However, we are where we are with this. I note that 164 people signed the original petition requesting the single yellow lines, and that the parking problem along Tranby Avenue does still persist. It can impact the local bus service, and it increases danger for road users and reduces parking amenity for residents. However, I also believe that a 5-hour restriction through the middle of the day does have a significant impact on resident parking amenity and makes it challenging when having building works done on your homes or entertaining visitors. The proposed type of restriction, a single yellow line, does still allow for loading and unloading, and blue badge holders can still park on that single yellow line. So what I'm going to propose here is that I approve option 1, which is in paragraph 37, but I would like to suggest that we reduce the hours of the parking restriction, and I would suggest we do it from 11 AM through to 2 PM. So it's a 3-hour parking restriction rather than a 5-hour parking restriction. Is that something I can do? Yeah. Okay, so that's the decision for today. And as I said, this will solve the problem for now, but if residents want to gain greater parking amenity year round, I would strongly suggest looking at residents' parking schemes. Okay, I have no other urgent business, so call the meeting to a close. Thank you, everybody.